Let's just say the ratings aren't the same with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated. Game 1 of the Aces Liberty matchup on Sunday drew an average of 929,000 viewers. Was down nearly 50% from last Sunday's Fever Sun contest. By the way, not only was viewership down, but attendance was as well.
Following Caitlin Clark's elimination from the playoffs, WNBA players are inconsolable because they feel that fans are against them because they haven't stayed to watch their games. The most recent statistics from the semi-finals have been made public, and the WNBA hasn't been able to handle the situation since Caitlin's exit via BS fouls against her. Since Caitlin Clark's elimination, the WNBA has already seen a decline in viewership, and as the playoffs progress, things will only get worse.
You want me to just say I told you so, or are you willing to say, Stephen A., you did tell us? Really? Caitlin Clark is the golden goose.
What sort of sport allows its finest player to be treated so poorly? Don't allow the Fevers to play at home during the playoffs. Then let their sport perish and its viewership drop after each game. Only in the NBA do teams make it to the championship game, and after each game, fewer spectators show up. Caitlin is currently en route to Europe, where she is purportedly taking a vacation, but she might be persuaded to join the EuroLeague in exchange for a substantial salary.
Could be a team overseas who would love to snatch Caitlin Clark away from us and give her a crazy offer. I mean, Ice Cube was about to give her $5 million to play in less than 10 games in the Big.
Who could blame Caitlin? If she made a move, she would make 10 times her current salary and be treated fairly. The WNBA would even deny her the chance to win unanimous Rookie of the Year. Somehow, one person cast a ballot for Angel Reese. This voter must now be made public.
Should have been unanimous.
Should have been.
I agree.
It should have been unanimous. And one of the things that sticks with me is, well, she was the first rookie to get a triple.
The WNBA is finally witnessing the Caitlin Clark effect in full force, as ratings are dropping by the minute. Players think that fans only want to see Caitlin Clark, and they would be correct. Even after winning MVP, A.A. Wilson was not pleased with the decline in viewers. This year has been the most people have ever called her game boring, and she hasn't had the same impact on the WNBA as Caitlin Clark.
Asia Wilson, 28 years old, 1,000 points in the regular season. Why is that not the biggest story out at the moment?
Exactly.
Why are we talking about Caitlin Clark?
Exactly. Why when Asia was releasing a shoe, were we talking about Caitlin?
Beyond just the sheer volume of viewers, Caitlin Clark's absence from the WNBA playoffs highlights a larger problem with the league. The brittleness of its audience base and how much it had become dependent on one player to sustain its newly discovered momentum. When the Indiana Fever lost to the Connecticut Sun and Caitlin Clark's rookie season ended, the league as a whole and her own team both saw a sharp decline in viewership. However, more than that, it brought to light an unsettling reality about the WNBA. Without its biggest star, the league finds it difficult to maintain viewership.
The 2023 season, the WNBA had grown by 40% viewership from 2022 to 2023. But with Caitlin Clark's arrival, it's grown by 400% viewership. What that means is if the WNBA were continue to grow at the rate it grew from 22 to 23, it would take until 2028 to do what Caitlin Clark did this.
Following Clark's elimination from the playoffs, viewership fell by more than half, demonstrating that a significant percentage of the league's audience was being drawn in by her. This cannot be disregarded or written off as an anomaly. Caitlin Clark's star power has been crucial to the WNBA's ability to draw in viewers, and without her, the league has been shown to be unable to hold onto that audience.
Ever since, Angel Reese had that injury, to me, and also coming off of Olympic break, Caitlin Clark separated herself. Yeah. She should have been unanimous. Now to celebrate her, one thing that people forget is as a rookie, she was the most blitzed player in the WNBA, and she still put up 19, 5, and 8 assists.
Caitlin Clark's breakthrough season seemed to offer a glimmer of hope as her games consistently drew record numbers. And for a brief moment, it felt like the WNBA had finally turned a corner. However, with Clark out of the picture, it's evident that the league's newfound popularity was not as solid as it seemed without Caitlin Clark in the playoffs. This dramatic decline in viewership is a wake-up call for the WNBA, which has struggled with low ratings and attendance for years. The WNBA has struggled to maintain the level of excitement. When she left, ardent followers who had been following Clark's every move had little incentive to stay. The buzz surrounding the playoffs has noticeably decreased as a result of the surviving team's lack of the star power and charisma that Clark brought to the court, even though they are still competitive.
The Jordan effect on the NBA and the game of basketball. I would argue at one point early on there was a Steph Curry effect on the NBA and on basketball also. You bet your ass there is a Caitlin Clark effect on all of basketball and especially on women's basketball.
The WNBA, for all its praise of Clark's skills, failed to protect her in the way the player of her caliber deserves. It wasn't just a few missed calls. It was a pattern of rough play that took its toll on Clark's body and ultimately led to her team's defeat. This was one of the most concerning aspects of Caitlin Clark's playoff exit. Throughout the season, Clark was fouled numerous times and subjected to physical play that went mostly unpunished.
We don't want fans that are going to degrade us and call us names. I mean, we already see what's happening in the world. Something needs to be done, whether it's, them checking their fans or this league.
An excellent illustration of this was the series against the Connecticut Sun, where Clark was repeatedly fouled hard, but the referees appeared hesitant to sound the alarm. It seemed as though the league didn't fully understand how crucial it was to protect its best player, and fans at home couldn't help but become irate as Clark was thrown around the court with minimal assistance from the officials. The WNBA has long struggled with officiating, especially when it comes to physical play. But when the play at the heart of your league's renaissance is being treated this way, it becomes a much bigger problem. The WNBA cannot afford to let its biggest star be beaten down like this, especially when she is so important to the league's success. This failure to protect Clark is not a one-off mistake. Rather, it is part of a larger issue within the league.
Has been impacting the WNBA well before this year. This is not a new thing. Sure. This is, and in that way, I do think Caitlin's being used as a pawn. Caitlin didn't bring citizens to the WNBA. This has been happening. And that, I think, is what's been such a shock for all of us.
In addition to being a personal victory, Caitlin Clark's breakthrough season was a huge chance for the WNBA to showcase its potential to a larger audience. Her games were attracting viewers from across the nation, many of whom had never attended a WNBA game before. This was an opportunity for the league to take advantage of the excitement surrounding Clark and create a loyal following. But by failing to protect her, the WNBA wasted that chance. Fans are aware of what happened, have witnessed how Clark was treated on the court, and have expressed their displeasure publicly. Fans who believe that the WNBA failed Clark by allowing her to be fouled repeatedly without adequate officiating have started posting comments on social media.
There are very, very few people, but there are some out there who resent the fact that this young white girl came out there and did her thing. Rookie of the Year, 4th in the league for MVP voting, assist leader, one of the top leading scorers after the Olympic Games. She put on a show, validating all the attention she was receiving.
This has fueled a growing perception that the league isn't doing enough to safeguard its stars, which may have long-term effects on the devotion of its supporters. The WNBA is currently in a vulnerable situation. Caitlin Clark has already contributed more to the league in a single season than many players do in a whole career. But the league runs the risk of losing the very players who are advancing the sport if it does nothing to safeguard her and other players like her. This is about the league's future, not just about winning games.
Number of viewers for WNBA games that Caitlin Clark is not in is like 3 to 4 million. When she's in the game, when it's her game playing, it's like 17 million.
Yeah. Well, I also look at the attendance in the arena.
Yes.
It's 8 to 10,000 everywhere else. Caitlin Clark, 17, 18,000.
The WNBA wants to continue growing and drawing in new fans. It must acknowledge the value that Caitlin brings and take all necessary steps to keep her in the fold. If they continue to ignore the bias against Caitlin, The WNBA risks losing the star who made it relevant, and with her the fans who came along for the ride. The next few months will be crucial for the WNBA as it navigates the post-Clark era. The league must move swiftly to address the issues that have been exposed by her absence or risk losing the momentum it has worked so hard to build going forward. Additionally, subscribe to see more videos today. Coca-Cola sponsored appy.whatsapp.com in Pakistan.